Hello and welcome back to Academicscope. Today we are covering topic 3.4, price stability in GCSE OCR economics. So let's get started. This specification, while seeming short, has a lot to cover. You must be able to explain what is meant by price stability and inflation. Explain the difference between normal and real values. Understand and analyze the Consumer Price Index or CPI. Analyze the causes of inflation, and evaluate the consequences of inflation for consumers, workers, firms, governments, savers, and borrowers. The last two bullet points can come up as 6 markers in any form, so be careful. So, the definitions you need for this topic. The cost of living, the average cost of buying goods and services needed for everyday life. Inflation, a sustained increase in the general price level over time. Price stability, when the general price level is stable or only rises slowly and predictably over time. Rate of inflation, the percentage increase in the general price level over a given period of time. And deflation, a sustained fall in the general price level. These are very common for both multiple choice questions and 2 markers, so I'd recommend memorizing them. Nominal versus real values. A nominal value is the value measured in current money terms, without accounting for inflation, whereas the real value is the value adjusted for inflation, showing the true purchasing power. Let's look at an example. A worker receives a 5% pay rise, but the inflation is 2%. The nominal wage rise is 5%, whereas the real wage rise is only 3%. Therefore, the worker is genuinely better off, but less than what you would think. Now, what is the Consumer Price Index? It is the main measure of inflation in the UK, and it works like this. A representative basket of goods and services is chosen. The prices of these items are monitored over time, and changes in the basket costs show inflation. Examples of items include food, clothing, transport, entertainment, and housing costs. And the items change over time depending on trends and ideas in the economy. Causes of inflation. Demand pull inflation. It only occurs when aggregate demand grows faster than the economy's ability to produce goods and services. As demand increases, shortages may develop, and it allows firms to raise prices, as you can see on the diagram below. Some causes of demand pull inflation are higher consumer spending, lower interest rates, increased government spending, and higher exports, and the chain of reasonings are shown below. Another inflation is cost push inflation. Cost push inflation occurs when businesses experience higher production costs and pass these on to consumers through higher prices. Higher wages is an example of a cost, higher raw material costs, higher import costs, and higher indirect taxes. The chain of analysis and the correct diagram you're meant to use are both visible to you now. I'd recommend pausing and practicing writing these yourself using the diagram to understand. Now, these are very important concepts you have to understand to be able to talk about them. A wage price spiral occurs when rising prices lead workers to demand higher wages. Workers experience a fall in real income because prices have risen. They demand higher wages from employers. These higher wages increase the production costs. Firms respond by increasing prices. Workers then demand even higher wages. This creates a continuous cycle of inflation. Stagflation occurs when inflation is high, economic growth is low or negative, and unemployment is rising. This is particularly problematic when governments face conflicting objectives. For example, policies to reduce inflation may increase unemployment, but policies to reduce unemployment may worsen inflation. Evaluating consequences of inflation for consumers. They have lower purchasing power as the money buys fewer goods and services. They have a loss of confidence. Consumers may delay spending if prices are unstable. Shoe leather costs as they have to spend more time managing money and searching for better prices. but consumers who are debtors gain as the real value of their debt falls. However, to evaluate this, you can talk about it depends whether wages rise faster than inflation. Mild inflation may not significantly affect behaviour, and true that costs are usually small when inflation is low. Evaluating consequences of inflation for workers. Again, their real income falls. Employees may strike for higher wages, leading to industrial action, and they can have reduced living standards. Strong bargaining power, labour market conditions. Furthermore, government support can reduce the impact. Consequences of inflation for firms. Menu costs, as they have to frequently change prices, catalogues, and advertising. Rising wages and input costs reduce profit as there are higher costs. They have more uncertainty as they have to delay investments as they are not certain about future profit. But they have higher flexibility. Workers may offer a 2% rise in wages when inflation is 3%, but would not accept a wage cut when there is no inflation. And it gives these firms the flexibility which they would not have if there was no inflation. And lastly, consequence of inflation for governments. They receive higher tax revenue. They have to engage in higher government spending. They have more national debt effects and pressure for higher interest rates. These are very important you learn, as any of these 6 markers could come up and you have no idea which one. I'd recommend going over as much practice papers as possible. Thank you for watching Academic Scope, and come next time when we move on to finish GCSE OCR economics. Thank you for watching.